My name is Dr. Olivia Moses, and I'd like to welcome you today to Colorful Cooking. And that's exactly what we're going to do here to the program, in this program today. We are going to do some colorful cooking. And what does that mean? That means we're going to try to use every single color of the rainbow. Now, using every single color of the rainbow might sound a little bit complicated, but it's a lot easier than you think. And what we're going to do today is we're going to choose some foods that have all the colors. Now, by doing that, what we do is we pack a huge nutritious punch. Our reds, our greens, our oranges, all of these things have wonderful vitamins and minerals that we get from these foods. Now, a lot of times in the United States especially, actually in other countries as well, we have a lot of two-color meals. We have a brown, like a meat type of food, and then we have a starch, which is a white. So a lot of our plates have gotten a little boring. So what we're going to do today is we're going to liven it up a little bit. So are you with me? Today to the studio, I actually brought my favorite knife, and I have some bowls, and I brought some ingredients. Now, an exciting thing about today's little meal or salad that we're going to cook is that you don't need a stove. So any of you out there who are in a dorm room, or if you are parents who have a child in a dorm, there is never an excuse to eat unhealthy unless you're not planning ahead like we have done here. Okay, so let's get started. But before we do that, what we're going to do is I thought it might be an interesting idea to talk a little bit about one of our special ingredients that we are going to be using today. That ingredient is tofu. Now, a lot of people don't really think about tofu as going on salads. Well, this is going to be an adventure for all of us then. But when I was putting together this recipe, I was thinking about how do they make tofu? And you know what? I didn't even know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some pictures on a process that happens if you decide to make tofu in your own home. So if we can go up to the slide, this is a picture of dehydrated or dried soybeans. So when you use the soybeans like this, you want to soak them in water so they become hydrated. So do you see that big difference, and big meaning they got bigger once they got hydrated? So after you soak them for hours, they become really, really plump like you see here in our picture. What you do after that, when you have those plump soybeans, you can actually blend them in a blender, and you get this kind of slurry of soybean products or soybeans. What you do then is you boil it, and you boil it, and you boil it, and they become very frothy when that happens. So you watch the froth go up and down with the boiling of the soybeans. Once that is done, you want to strain the soybeans, and here they actually use a piece of fabric to strain the soybeans out. And so what you're doing is you are separating the basically the water or the juice from the soybean and then the actual fiber part of the soybean. Okay? And what will happen is you're going to get, as this slide shows you, you're going to get all the fibrous part of the soybean kind of separated now. And you're going to then throw in some water and really try to milk these soybeans as much as possible to get as much quote-unquote juice as possible from the soybean. And then what you're going to do is you're going to boil this juice again. Now, once you have boiled this for a while, this is what we call soy milk. Now, isn't that, I thought it was pretty cool. Soy milk, now you can actually drink this, and you made soy milk from soybeans. But as you go further to make tofu, you take this particular soy milk that was produced and you put in a curdling agent. Now, the curdling agent can be a number of things. However, most of the curdling agents that they use now in commercial tofu is they have something called calcium, which is good for our bones, and I think everybody's heard of that. Put calcium, the curdling agent has calcium in it. So you'll see a lot of tofus out there that actually claim to be high calcium products, and that is why. It is because of the curdling agent that they use. So this is what happens, this is what it looks like once the soy or soy milk is curdled. So you see how, like if you make yogurt, you have kind of a curds and whey situation happening here. Once it is curdled, we then go to, and they have a tofu press box. And you put the fabric in there because you want to then squeeze out a lot of the water. What you then do is separate the curd, well, we'll call it curds for now, curds and whey, and you put the soybean curdled agent, or the leftovers, into this box, and then you have it pressed. And you press it for a little while, and then voila, there you have it. You have a block of homemade tofu. Now, pretty cool there. I thought it was a very interesting concept to make tofu at your home. But if you're like me and got on the lazy side, I wouldn't say lazy, but don't have all the time to make your own homegrown tofu, you can get it in blocks like this. And what's interesting about these kinds of blocks, I don't know if any of you have actually ever used tofu before, and you can, if you look very closely on the tofu block, what you'll actually see is lines or a little bit of kind of texture, and that texture usually comes from the fabric or the muslin in some cases that is used to press, and you saw the fabric that they used here in our pictures to press the tofu into blocks. So that's what we did here. Now, another thing that I did with this particular tofu, I'm going to show you actually a funny picture. I didn't use a biology book, but if we show our next slide here, we pressed a lot of the water out of the tofu blocks. So when you buy tofu, it is usually in water or immersed in water. So what I did is I drained the water out and I put it on a plate, and this is how you kind of drain or get more of the water out of your tofu. So you want to put something heavy on the plate. So I used cans, but I pressed this tofu out. So it gets a lot of the water that was originally in the tofu, because tofu is very porous, out of the tofu. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut blocks of tofu for our salad topping, okay, right here. They're going to be nice blocks of tofu. Oh, and you'll see the tofu. We're kind of having tofu overboard here. We're going to use the tofu and we're going to marinate it. Now, what happens when we cut the tofu and we drain the tofu or squeeze the tofu, all the water out, what actually happens is it becomes a lot easier to marinate because it's very porous, and now it is ready and prepped to soak in all of the juices that we're going to, or the flavors that we're going to throw into this tofu right now. So if we can go to our slide up here, go and get your pens and paper, because we are going to now make the dressing. And we're going to keep this up here a little bit for a little longer. And the reason is I want you to get the recipe. Now, for the dressing, we are going to be using a sweet chili sauce, okay? A sweet chili sauce. Now, the sweet chili sauce, it comes in a bottle, in many bottles. It can come in packets as well. And you get this quite often in Asian food stores. I got this at just a regular corner grocery store. And what you'll see is in the sauce, there are these little chunks of chili. Now, if you don't like spicy food, don't worry at all about it, because this is not spicy. It's called sweet chili, so don't worry, because it's not going to overpower your mouth. Okay, you won't even feel a sting actually from this sweet chili sauce. So we're going to pour it over the tofu a little bit. And you know, I am not a big proponent of having my sweet and savory together, but this doesn't bother me. I actually really like this. Now, another thing that we're going to do is we are going to ground or shred a little bit some ginger root. Now, ginger root is delicious, it's nutritious, and you know what's fantastic about it? Is it actually can help nauseousness. Now, it can be a very, very good thing on your stomach. What's interesting, my grandmother in her house, whenever we ever had any type of stomach issue, she would actually say, go get the ginger. And you know, I grew up in an Indian house, so we always have ginger on hand, and you'd cut a piece and you suck on it. Now, with that, don't ever, if you get nauseous or you have some stomach upset, don't ever chew on the ginger right away if you can't take heat, because that has definitely a sensation and it's fairly strong, the ginger, so you don't want to do that. But with this salad, having that fresh ginger, and I would say grating it is the best method, or using paste. And you can get fresh ginger pastes from any grocery store, really. However, I like using the fresh products the best, okay? So I got a lot of ginger in there, okay? Now, I like using a lot, and that's why on our recipe, if we can pull it up again, I don't put measurements, because I want you to play around and have fun with these ingredients. So we're going to take this ginger root and we are going to dump it right into our tofu. And remember, we're going to be putting a lot of vegetables in here, so it's going to take some of the taste and flavor. So don't worry about overpowering right now. Okay, so that is our ginger. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get some fresh garlic. Now, I know some of you, your mouths are watering already. Fresh garlic and ginger together. Okay, we're really doing it up big. Now, garlic, if you're not a big garlic person, again, really make this recipe your own and use as much as you want. Now, what I'm doing today is like bringing you in my own kitchen, kind of, because at my house, you see these spoons that I have here? I actually broke one, and I was going to throw it away, but now I use it to actually crush my ginger, and I throw it in the dishwasher, and it's all set and ready to go. When you smash your your garlic, you can actually peel off the skin very, very easily. So you don't have to worry too much about sitting there and peeling garlic a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fine chop this. Now again, with fresh ingredients like this, I always like using the fresh because it has that fresh flavor, and to me it packs more of a flavor when you use fresh ingredients. However, if you're not a big one and you want to, do things very quickly, you can absolutely buy minced garlic from your regular refrigerator section at your grocery store. Okay, so I'm going to throw that in there as well. And I use 3 cloves. Again, if this is scaring you, definitely back up or back off the ginger and the garlic. So if we can pull up our ingredients list again, we got the sweet chili sauce, we got the fresh ginger root, we got the fresh garlic. We're going to put some soy sauce in there as well. And with our soy sauce, I bought some low sodium soy sauce. Okay, so some low sodium soy sauce you want to put in there. And then the next ingredient that I have is sesame oil. Now, if you are watching your waistline, which most of us are trying to do, you just want to drizzle a little bit on there for flavor, okay? And I'm making a fairly big salad, so that was about maybe a tablespoon, okay? So that is it. That is our dressing. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix this all up, okay? We're going to mix this all up. And as you can see, you have some extra dressing, and that's going to coat everything that we put in our salad. So remember, our name of our show is Colorful Cooking. So this is only one of the things that is going into our salad. So right there. So we're going to put this aside for right now, and it's going to marinate. Now, the best thing probably to do with this is to marinate overnight, which what usually people do. But whoever has time to do that and thinking ahead. So we're just going to do it, and at the end, we're going to taste it, and guaranteed it's not going to be bad. So we are going to go down the rainbow. Now, if we pull up our ingredients list again, what we're going to do for our red is bell pepper, okay? Bell pepper. We're going to cut some bell pepper here very, very thinly, okay? So do you see how thin these pieces are? We're going to cut them very, very thinly. So again, colorful cooking, so we're using bright, vibrant colors for our red. Okay, so we're cutting very, very thinly, and we're going to do just a very quick chop on this. Okay, there we go. There's our pepper, our red. Now, you know what? We have all that dressing. I'm going to cut a little bit more of this bell pepper because I think the salad needs a little bit more color, because what are we doing? We're colorful cooking today. Okay, chop this up real quick, and we're going to really put this in our bowl. Now, if we bring up our ingredients list again, we are going to be doing what is going to be our orange. Our orange is going to be our carrots. Our carrots. Now, carrots are wonderful as snacks. However, why is it that when we change the shape of certain things, for some reason it changes the taste? So today we are not going to cut these in rounds or anything. We're actually going to shred them, okay, or grate them. And we're going to get some orange into the bowl, okay? So we have red with our bell pepper and orange with our carrot. Now, grating can go pretty quickly. And you know, sometimes we have a tendency to, you know, when we're cooking as families, we want to teach kids how to do things, and grating seems fairly harmless. However, a grater can be a very dangerous tool. So we want to be careful with giving kids the grating job, because have you ever sliced your finger on one of these things? It's not fun and it hurts a lot. Okay? So we have almost a full carrot in this so far. Okay? Look at how beautiful that color is. Because again, we're colorful cooking today. Okay? So there we go. We have orange carrots. So if we can bring up our recipe again, we have red bell pepper, we have orange carrots. Now for our yellow, we have yellow peppers. And you know, using these colorful peppers are an easy way to get more colorful cooking. Okay, so we're going down the rainbow, remember, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Okay, so again, we are doing very small slices of this because we don't want huge chunks of these peppers when we're grating things like our carrots. Okay, so there we go. We got our yellow in the bowl. Look how beautiful this is turning out already with our red and our orange and our yellow. Now green. Green, we are using snow peas because this is an Asian type salad. We're going to use snow peas. Now, I love snow peas. This is what I did to the snow peas. When you get snow peas raw, they look kind of like this. And what happens with these, if you've ever eaten these raw, there is a fiber that comes with you, and it's because you want to string, you didn't string them. So what does stringing snow peas look like? So you want to break the tip, and if you pull down the tip, or pull down the actual whole pea, do you see what's happening here? I'm stringing against the whole side, and look at this. This stuff is going to get stuck in your mouth, and you can't really chew this enough to want to swallow it. So you want to get rid of that. So that's what I did. I strung all the peas. So now after doing that, what I did was I boiled them for 2 minutes in hot water, and you can boil water in a dorm room in the microwave, and then I put it in some cold water just to stop the cooking process. And we have kind of cooked snow peas, but raw enough that they still have a crunch, and you want to keep that crunch in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them kind of on a bias, okay? So they have a real pretty cut to them. So you have like a really big, you have diagonal cuts. So let me cut this out. So you want to kind of get a cut like this to your actual snow pea. So we're going to throw our green. So we have red, orange, yellow, green, and now we have our blue-purple. And we throw blue-purple together because that's kind of a hard one to come by in nature. Okay, so we have a really small head of cabbage here. They call it red, but it's a purple cabbage actually. Okay, so we're going to cut this right in half. And look how gorgeous that is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, do you see this kind of core right here? I'm going to cut that all out, okay, to get rid of that. Okay, and so you just kind of cut a V out of it and kind of take it, well, I didn't get it that well. There we go. See, it popped right out. And so you got the core out, and that goes in the garbage. So what I'm going to do with this cabbage, I'm going to actually take the outer leaf off because I care about germs. Now that's an important thing as well. I want you to know that every single thing that I'm using today I wash thoroughly, and that's really important with our produce. We want to wash, wash, wash. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to cut this very, very small, okay, or very, very thinly. Very, very thin. And you could shred this, and you can use a mandolin, and I didn't bring a mandolin in here today, and that probably would be a lot faster than cutting it the way I'm cutting it. Okay, so what we're going to do while I'm cutting this, I want you to write down a recipe again. So if we can bring up our recipe, and we used red bell peppers, we used orange carrots, we used yellow bell peppers, green snow peas, and now we're using purple cabbage. So now if you look at the cabbage that I just did, you see these very small slices that I kind of made with it. Now with that, I am going to cut it the opposite direction, but in kind of big chunks, because the cabbage is basically very much layered, and so you're going to get a lot of these very little pieces. Okay? So here we go. We're going to dump it in the bowl. This bowl is looking quite gorgeous, I must say. Okay, so there you have it. All the colors of the rainbow, because we're doing some colorful cooking. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to take our bowl right here, and we are going to mix all of this together. So look at all this color though, even before we get the tofu in there. Okay, even before we get the tofu. Oh, it is gorgeous. Look at that. Okay, talk about the rainbow here. So now what we're going to do, remember we have all this tofu. So what we're going to do is we're going to just dump that in here. Okay, and we want to get all that ginger and the garlic. We want to get as much of it as possible in our bowl here. Okay, all that delicious dressing. Okay, so there you have it. We're going to get this up and running here. Now we're in business. We got all our ingredients in here. And what is really good is I got a little excited and made a really big salad that might be bigger than my bowl here. With this is that you want to make sure that all the ingredients are incorporated. So you want to get a really good toss in this and have all the colors that we have coated with that wonderful dressing that we made. Okay, so I think we almost have it here. Okay, now if we can then go to our recipe again, because I want to show you at enough time so you can write it down. So our dressing that we made with the tofu, we have sweet chili sauce that we got in a jar, we have fresh ginger, we have fresh garlic, we have soy sauce, and we have sesame oil. So very, very easy thing to do. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to plate it. We're getting now here to the good stuff. So we're going to plate it a little bit. We got a nice, beautiful square black plate. But look how beautiful this looks on this plate. Remember, we're colorful cooking. So when you colorful cook, there's no way you can be boring. Okay, so here we go. Look at that. Now we're not done yet. I know you thought we were done, but I kind of psyched you out there. We're going to put this aside, and we have one more thing to do. I'll put it up here. Okay? We are going to throw some peanuts on the top. So here what I got was I got roasted peanuts. You can do raw peanuts if you like. I like the crunch of roasted peanuts, but these are unsalted. So we have enough salt going on here with the soy sauce that we put in there and with the chili sauce. So if you are on a heart healthy or a low sodium diet, absolutely do not get things that have high sodium in it. Okay? So we're going to throw some of these peanuts onto our cutting board, and we're going to do a little bit of a chop on here. Okay? Now, at my house, we use the coffee grinder not for coffee. We use it for spices. Okay? Now, if you have a coffee grinder, you can absolutely throw these peanuts into that coffee grinder and get a rough chop on them. You're not keeping them there too long because you don't want a powder. Okay? So you want very, very small, kind of rough chopped pieces of peanuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle some of those peanuts on there. Okay? So we're colorful cooking today. Remember that. So let's go over our recipe today. Okay? So let's bring up our recipe again. Now our dressing, we have sweet chili sauce. We use the fresh ginger. Again, you can buy it at your grocery store in a jar. You got fresh garlic. you got soy sauce, and you got sesame oil. What we did is we mixed that in with our tofu, and we let the tofu marinate a little bit because we pressed our tofu, remember? Now then, for our actual recipe for our colors, we have the tofu, we have red bell pepper, we have orange carrots, and you can use baby carrots if you want, but I use the big one this time. You have yellow bell pepper, you have green snow peas, you have purple cabbage, and you can actually do a mix of purple and the green cabbage if you want. And then at the very end, we then threw in some peanuts at the top. So remember, when you're colorful cooking, you are doing a very, very healthy thing for your body. And when we eat healthy, we feel better. And you know what? Again, all of these ingredients can be used in many different forms. So don't ever think that when you buy all of these ingredients that you have to use all of them in one salad, because you don't. And you know, you can use everything that we actually did here. Imagine making this one day and then using all the ingredients, all these colorful ingredients in a stir fry. So then in this economy, I know we're trying to save money. So you can make these ingredients stretch and to invent other things. You can use the fresh ginger, you can use the fresh garlic, and actually morph all these ingredients into something totally different and put it over brown rice, and no one knows the difference. And you got a lovely meal. So are we ready to try this? Here we go. We're colorful cooking. Let's try some tofu. Now I know tofu's gotten a bad rap, but let's see if it got some taste on here with all those ingredients that we used. Oh my goodness. Okay. You have to make this salad. It's delicious. And do you hear all the crunching that I'm doing here? As it was fun, delicious, and absolutely nutritious. With the crunching, with the colors, man, this is a great little recipe, and it's fun for the whole family when we cook with color. And the reason is, when you cook with color, we eat a lot more than with just our mouths. We do with smells, with the ginger and the garlic. It absolutely got my mouth watering. And then we also eat with our eyes. So when things look as beautiful as this with all these colors in it, we actually want to eat it even more. And notice that with this colorful cooking, we did it without a stove. So we only did it with my favorite knife again, and we did it with a cutting board. So again, none of this is very complicated. You just want to get creative and plan ahead. When you go to the grocery store, let's think colors of the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple should be in the cart when we leave. Now, there are some interesting places you can get some of these vegetables. You can go to the farmer's market. You can go to, even here, actually in Southern California, where the studio is, you can go to the 99-cent store and get some really great vegetable deals. So again, all of this is easy, all of this is delicious, all of this is nutritious. Now, I'm Dr. Olivia Moses, and thank you for joining me for some more colorful cooking.